Welcome to Nursing School Explained in this video in the assessment series about auscultating the heart. Let's first review the heart anatomy so that we can get a better understanding of how it really relates to the physical assessment. So if we look at the heart, here we have the four chambers, and between the right atrium and the right ventricle we have the tricuspid valve. Then from the right ventricle to the lungs is the opening of the pulmonic valve. When the blood returns from the lungs into the left atrium, it flows through the mitral valve into the left ventricle and then to the body through the aortic valve. And these valves here are color-coded so that we know how that applies when we actually listen. And a few certain things that are important to know when you're auscultating the patient's heart, we want to use the bell of our stethoscopes. So make sure that you know how to use that because there are a variety of stethoscopes out there, and so you need to know how to use your stethoscopes to be able to access the bell of it. And then it is also very important to know the landmarks so that you then can assess for the landmarks in the correct locations. So first we have the sternum, the intercostal spaces, which is basically the space in between the ribs, intercostal, the clavicle, which is the collarbone, the mid-clavicular line, which is right at the center of the clavicle, and then you can just follow it down. And then also we have the mid-axillary line, which is the axilla, the armpit, and goes down in a straight line here. And so then how does this relate to our patient? So here we have our patient. He is smiling. And in the middle here we have his or her sternum. And then we have our aortic valve here on the right side. And the landmark here is the second intercostal space at the right sternal border. Now you might wonder, you say, well, the aortic valve is actually down here in the patient's, coming out of the left ventricle. Why is it here at that second intercostal space that's up quite high in the patient's chest? Basically, where we listen for the heart sounds is where they are best heard, where the sound of the opening and the closing of these valves is best projected. So it does not necessarily relate to the anatomical landmarks. You're going to have to memorize where you find these landmarks to place your stethoscopes so that you can assess the heart valves correctly. So again, aortic valve, second intercostal space at the right sternal border. And then remember that the heart sits in the chest cavity more on the left side. So everything else is going to be assessed on the patient's left side. So then the pulmonic valve is at the second intercostal space at the left sternal border. So right here at the sternum. And one thing that I always see students getting confused is to find that first or second intercostal space, which is also why we need to know what the clavicle is, because many times the first rib actually lies underneath the clavicle. So then we'll have the clavicle and the first rib kind of like in that same spot, and then that second intercostal space, you'll have to find the second rib and then find that soft spot, the rib area in between. And then we have here Erb's point is third intercostal space at the left sternal border. And you might wonder, what is the significance of Erb's point, because it doesn't really relate to a heart valve. Erb's point is the point where S1 and S2 are just heard the best in the whole chest cavity. And if you recall, if you've ever been to a physical exam, or if somebody has ever listened to your heart, a physician, a cardiologist, any kind of provider, they usually put their stethoscope right on the left side, in that third intercostal space, and that is Erb's point, because if it's not necessary to listen to all the different cardiac landmarks, this is where we can hear S1 and listen for regularity and rhythm best. Now then moving down, we're still at that left sternal border at the fourth intercostal space. Now we have the tricuspid valve that we can hear there. And then for our mitral valve, it's at the fifth intercostal space, but now it's not at the sternal border anymore. Now we move it over to that mid-clavicular line. So now we need to find the patient's clavicle, which usually connects to the sternum and then the acromion of the shoulder right here. and find that mid-clavicular line, so in the middle of the clavicle, and find it at that fifth intercostal space. And the mitral valve is also called the point of maximum impulse as well as the apical pulse. So the point of maximum impulse is where the left ventricle is located, the apex of the heart, hence apical pulse. And sometimes you can actually palpate the point of maximum impulse. Some patients it's just not possible. It depends on their physical makeup. Sometimes if there's breast tissue in the way, or if there's a lot of adipose tissue, it might be very difficult. But if the patient is thin, many times you can actually access or assess and palpate their point of maximum impulse. And then what we actually do listen for is S1 and S2, which is the closure of the semilunar and atrioventricular valves. And we want them to be regular, and we also want there to be no extra hard sounds, extra swooshing sounds, and those would be considered S3 and S4, and that goes a little bit beyond this video. So we're listening just for the closure, which for that lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub. And depending on what site you listen for, or you listen at, what landmark you are at, it'll depend on if the lub or the dub is louder, and it might sound like a lub-dub or then a lub-dub. It might just be a little bit different, and the more you get exposed to it, the better you'll get at identifying that. What we are not expecting to hear is a hard murmur, which is a swooshing sound. And that usually means that the heart valves either don't open completely or they don't close completely, which then would be in valve stenosis or regurgitation. And I go a little bit over the explanation in a different video into that. And the other thing we're listening to is rhythm and regularity. So we want to have a nice regular heartbeat, because then we know the heart chambers are synchronized and they are working together with the contraction the way it's supposed to be. And so we want to really listen, take some time to listen, especially if you're just starting out in nursing school, so that you can actually determine is the rate regular or irregular. If you're detecting that it is irregular, so if it sounds something like lub-dub, lub-dub, lub-dub-dub, lub-dub-dub, lub-dub-dub-dub, something like that, or it's spaced out more, then it is very important to listen for 1 full minute to determine the patient's actual heart rate. Because if we only listen to an irregular heartbeat for 15 seconds and multiply it by 4, or for 30 seconds and multiply it by 2, we might not get that correct heart rate, because in the first 30 seconds the heart rate might be faster, and in the second 30 seconds it might be a little bit slower. So if you detect that it's irregular, or even if you're not sure, just take your time and listen for a full minute so that you actually know what the patient's heart rate is. And that is done at the apical pulse site, which is also that PMI and the mitral valve location at that fifth intercostal space at the mid-clavicular line. So thank you for watching this video on auscultating the patient's heart. Remember that the anatomical location does not correspond to the landmarks that we use when we listen to the patient's heart. Remember to listen for S1 and S2, rhythm and regularity, as well as those anatomic landmarks, and to use the bell so that you can hear the heart sounds the best. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please give me the thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. Also watch the other videos in the assessment series that'll help you become better in assessing your patient and caring for them in the best way possible. Thanks for watching Nursing School Explained. See you soon.